Hey and welcome back. Today we have something exciting to talk about, my favorite home office essentials. Whether you're a student, remote worker or just someone who loves a productive workspace, I've got some fantastic items to share with you. So let's dive right in. And first on my list is my monitor setup. A good monitor can make a huge difference when it comes to productivity. And I use a combination of one ultra-wide screen and the Apple Studio display. I actually got the Studio display in combination with my Mac Studio because it's for me one of the best displays in and for the Apple ecosystem. Of course it's not cheap, but for me it's an investment for a long period of time, and I simply wanted to have a reliable setup that I can use for my everyday work. My second monitor is the Samsung Odyssey G5 Ultrawide monitor. I mainly bought it for gaming, but after a couple of days I noticed that it's such a great additional monitor that boosts my productivity a lot. And exactly that's why I decided to buy a multi-HDMI port so I can use it in combination with my Mac Studio, PS5 and Xbox Series X. But at the end of the day it's now fully my additional monitor to get things done. So especially for productivity, having a dual monitor setup is highly recommended, especially the combination Studio display and the ultra-wide monitor is perfect for multitasking. When it comes to input devices, I'm a huge fan of Apple's sleek and minimal design. And that's why I use the Apple keyboard and the Apple Magic Mouse, which provides a seamless and elegant typing and navigation experience. Of course, charging the Magic Mouse is annoying, but to be honest here, I never had any huge issues. Sometimes when I need a break, I simply charge it for some time and that's it. On top, I'm a huge fan of the Magic Keyboard. For me, it's one of the best keyboards, even though it's not that cheap. But at the end of the day, it actually supports my workflow, and whenever I tried other keyboards, I always wanted to switch back. And since I don't really like to buy new keyboards all the time, I decided to invest once to get the right one for my setup and workflow. Next up, let's talk about headphones. And yes, having the right pair of headphones is super important, especially if you work in the creative space. I personally rely on my Biodynamic DT770 Pro headphones, and in combination I also got a stylish headphone stand. In my opinion, they offer a crystal clear audio quality and I always like to use them to edit, especially in the evening or at night. On top, whenever I want to record some voiceovers, I also use them all the time to double check my audio. So if you're looking for some great headphones, definitely check out the 770 Pro. And as already mentioned, on top I've also bought a headphone stand. This one here is super cheap. I think it costs around 20 bucks or so, and that's okay in that price category. For sure a heavy stand would be great, but for me it's just a small gadget that I can use to store my headphones, and I don't want to spend a lot of money here. So it's a great budget option that I can highly recommend. Next, let's talk about lights. And yes, proper lighting is often underestimated. I personally like to use a combination of lighting solutions to set the perfect mood in my workspace. Mainly my monitor LED bar provides a focused task lighting that I can easily control with this controller right here. So yeah, I can adjust the color temperature and I can also dim the light to create the perfect atmosphere for my home office. And yes, since I'm using mostly dark and warm colors in my office, I also decided to add a salt lamp to my desk setup to have another cozy light source. I personally really like these lamps because they're just a perfect fit for any dark desk setup. But what's about organization? Staying organized is key to a productive home office. And yes, since we already talked about my monitor setup, let's talk about the monitor stand first. And I use a dual monitor stand to maximize the desk space and to keep my screens at the perfect eye level. On top, I've also mounted my ultrawide monitor to the wall, and gladly the Studio display stand also fits perfectly behind or under the dual monitor stand to maximize the desk space and to hide cables. Since I'm not a pro in cable management, I always try to hide them, and in this case I'm really happy with the result. Next up on my organization list are two gadgets. For writing down notes and ideas, I always have my trusty notebook and a desk tray to keep everything tidy. In my opinion, both are absolute must-haves because they have helped me to boost my productivity and they also reduce a lot of distractions. A quick note here, there's also a complete video on my channel about why this notebook slowly replaces my iPhone, so if you're interested in that, definitely check out that video. Moving on, let's talk about adding some greenery to your workspace. And for me, greenery can make every desk space more inviting. While I'm not a green thumb, I opt for some fake plants to add the touch of nature to my home office as well. And I've also included personal touches like photos to make my workspace feel like my own. And yes, there's still plenty of room that will get some add-ons. I'm still thinking about some sound panels and maybe some small shelves, but these are just some first ideas for later adjustments. And yes, at the end of the day, currently I'm really happy with the additional greenery in combination with some nice prints, so I can highly recommend to check them out. But yeah, these are some of my favorite home office essentials. In my opinion, creating a workspace that inspires you and enhances your productivity is essential for remote work or studying. And that's why I can highly recommend to invest some bucks into some great gadgets. So, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you need, don't forget to smash that subscribe button to stay updated for upcoming videos, and I'll see you in the next video.